Gang is sexy. So, since the Eastern Front wasn't working out so well, I figured I would leave the cold frozen tundra and go over to the warm beaches of Italy. And thought we might play, which you're never going to see this, Avalanche. The Invasion of Italy. Avalanche Press. What's the date on this thing? I always get this wrong. It's some names on here, though, that I recognize, i.e. Mark Simonich. Looks like he did the map work on this one here. This says 1994. So, yeah, 1994. Figure with everybody playing Salerno 43 and good old me not pre-ordering that for some reason. Don't know why. I just didn't want it. But I like this one. I like this pretty map. Kind of reminds me of the old TSR maps when they took over making the great battles of the American Civil War. So, okay. Tricky or not tricky, right? So, learning it. Read through the rule book. The rule book's only 13, 14 pages. And then you got optional rules and a couple, not really a ton of scenario stuff, but really I think there's only 2 or 3. I think there's only 2, to be honest with you. And obviously, one's a campaign, and the second one is also the campaign. But they got some allied drop stuff, dropping paratroops on Rome, I think, as part of this thing and stuff like this, because you got the 82nd Airborne in here. You have green units in here, and then once they get into combat, after they've had their first taste of combat, you take their green unit counter marker thingy out, and you put it's like they become instant veterans. All right, so there's Salerno, right, Chonder, and you got the British beaches up here, beachheads, which these beachheads are important, and I realized for supply, in order for a beachhead to be used for supply, there has to be a shore party in there, which is another combat unit. Certain units can be beachhead or shore parties. So there's all the Brits, and then down here's all the Yankees, the Americans. Battleships, destroyers, whatever, all over the place for bombardment. They can provide offensive support. Now, games like this, a lot of times, your artillery you can shoot, and then next turn you can shoot again, next turn you can shoot again, or whatever. This game here, you have a depletion system. So if you bombard, you cannot provide offensive or defensive fire support. If you provide offensive fire support, you have this little marker, like this guy right here. All right. You put him on the target. And that's the type of ammo he shoots, and it's how many points it takes to refill him. So once he shoots, you flip him over to his second salvo side, and then if he shoots again in support, which y'all can't see that, if he shoots again in support, he will go out of ammo. And then you've got to refill him, which you have ammo draws each turn that you will draw. And I got to put this guy back in here. And the ammo draws, you have a chart over there where you receive so much ammunition replacements, you get replacements for units. You can reduce units or break them down like you can in like Vat am Rhein and some other games. You can break a battalion down into companies and put them on the map. No need to do that yet. May have to. All right, so my Brits, we did the pre-Taun turn, and now we're going to start the actual 9 September turn. The Brits landed on. The Americans landed. The Americans had some success, but then the Germans struck back with an armor unit and an engineer unit and drove these guys back here and caused them some step losses. And then we had just a disaster of a defense over here. This German recon unit, and there's a mechanized infantry unit or motorized infantry unit here. They attacked this Brit that was here. They did a 5D result. Now that would normally be 5 step losses, and big D means demoralized. But the attacker can reduce in half, rounded up, if he takes step losses, and the defender can reduce rounded down. So the 5 reduced down to a 2.5. Which went down to a 2, so he took 2 step losses. Then he had to retreat 3, so he was here. He took 2 step losses. He retreated 3 hexes, and fortunately it was a double stack. And some of these units have 4 or 5 steps to them. And he's demoralized. Now, there's no leader runs in there and says, hey, you're cured, get back into combat. They have to sit for an entire game turn. Then they can recover from demoralized. They can go back to disrupted. And then one more game turn after that, they can go from disrupted back to normal. And from what I understand in rules, they can't do anything. And God forbid they get attacked. All right. And then the Germans attacked right here. And it's funny, they only had 4 strength points, and they were attacking 7. So it was 1 to 2 odds. But then you get these armor values of 3. All right. Some have 4. Then the German had morale of 6. And they attacked these units. And all those things play a factor. They are column shifts. So they got 3 column shifts is the most they can get for armor. So they got 3 column shifts to the right. So 1 to 2 attack now goes from 1 to 1 to 2 to 1 to 3 to 1. And then they got the morale differential plus 2. So now they're at 4 to 1, 5 to 1. And then they roll a dice like an 11. And they do some serious damage. Okay. Older game. Majority of the rules are pretty simple. Much like the last thing I had on the table. Sequence of play is pretty simple. The bombardment had me a little confused because it doesn't talk about ammo depletion during bombardment. I guess because the bombardment is apparently a little bit less effective. You've got replacement rules for units, and I still have not found how the Allies get replacements. I don't see any chart for them. The Germans have a chart they roll on, but I have not seen one for the Allies yet. German aircraft can be assigned to anti-shipping. And they get to fly out, and you get to roll dice against Allied ships to see if they get sunk or not. Pretty cool. You've got air superiority in this game. You've got ground support. The Allies have interdiction, which slows down movement and stuff. And you've got victory locations. And we got them marked on the map here. So the Allies take those things, and they get so many units off the map at a certain location, and it's like a super-duper victory. And there's 3, or just like a lot of games, there's 3 levels of victory. And you've got this other thing in this game, which is unique, called morale, where you don't even understand. I understand how it works, but I can't understand the purpose for it. I think the only purpose to me means is whatever morale level you choose for an attack before you do, and you're supposed to do it privately or secretly, each side. So you choose one of these morale levels. I think that's what these markers are for. And any unit that is not equal to or above that morale has to roll to be part of the attack, and they might be like half strength. And then I think the only benefit I can see is that those units don't suffer casualties if they don't fully attack. So here's how I'm applying that rule. Where's my trash can? Because I just don't see the purpose in it. Somebody can explain to me that purpose on how that morale thingy works. I don't know. But the units have morale. So now I'm wondering, is it because they talk about taking that marker and putting it on, hidden, and then you use that number, compare it to your unit's morale that's on the board. I could randomize it and roll a dice, but I don't. That rule should go in the trash as far as I'm concerned. I don't understand what purpose it serves. So if one of you was part of this game system or understands how the hell that works or what purpose it serves, please explain it to me in the comments below, or write me a letter or something, or point me to where I need to understand. Also, if anybody knows of any updated rules for this game, Avalanche, the Invasion of Italy Avalanche Press, put me a link in that too, because I think there's some rules that are either wrong or missing out of here. All right, so now 1 turn down. Okay. So far, so good. So we'll just keep driving on and see if, since I haven't been able to take Russia completely yet, might as well try to take Italy back, right? All right, guys, this is Hexy. We'll get you some more on this one as we play, and so you can follow the progress. Talk to you soon.